Major support for Do the Math has been provided by Chevron, the Kern County Superintendent of Schools, Edison International, Valley Strong Credit Union, California Resources Corporation, Bakersfield West Rotary STROOPE Family Foundation, Panama-BUENA Vista Union School District, Bakersfield City School District, Kern High School District, and AC Electric Company, with additional production assistance provided by these supporters of education in Kern County and throughout the state of California.
Coming to you from the AC Electric Arena in downtown Bakersfield, it's quarterfinal action at the Robot Rumble. Today, the Washington Hornets and Dingo are gearing up to take on from Rio Bravo Greeley, the Gauchos and Billy. Yeah! It's Robot Rumble time today on Do the Math! Welcome back to the AC Electric Arena here in downtown Bakersfield. Devin Rossiter, Tom Anderson. Tom, thank you so much for being here. Busy day for you. You're going to be doing double duty here to start things off.
Double duty to start. We've got to get the referee from work. So yeah, I'll take that role on as well.
This man is the authority for our first round.
We can do it.
So for those of you that missed our first quarterfinal action last time between Chipman and Cato, let's give a rundown on the basics of tower takeover in this competition.
Well, all of those cubes count for 1 point. No matter which color you get. The towers that you see when the teams score a cube in the tower, that color cube becomes now worth 2 points in each scored zone. So you can really multiply your scores up very quickly by putting different colors in the towers.
So the cubes become multipliers the cubes in the towers become multipliers for the cubes that the teams end up putting into each of the corners as their goals.
Correct.
And ultimately, because of the limited space, stacking becomes an absolute necessity.
It does.
So the teams that are able to employ those strategies and designs for efficient stacking and point management are going to be the teams that end up overcoming their opponents and coming through victorious. So we're going to run 3 rounds, but it's a cumulative scoreboard.
It is.
So we're going to run through, and the team with the most points at the end of our 3 rounds will move on to our grand final in March.
Yes.
Now, if we do have a tie, because last time,
we had a
very
tie.
dramatic.
Yes.
We're going to have 3 rounds, so we're going to see who comes out on top of each individual round, and that'll be our tiebreaker.
Right.
If it is still tied, like last time it was, we had a team with 1 win, 1 loss, 1 tie. That's when we would go into our overtime again.
Yes.
It's happened before. It could happen again. And it's really exciting this time because this is the first quarterfinal we've had where we have 2 very different designs for our robots.
Correct. Yes, which is really exciting. It'll be neat to see which one will prevail.
Well, I don't think we should waste any more time and no more hesitation. I think we're ready to kick things off, Tom.
Let's get it going.
Let's go ahead and fire things up for our first round between the Washington Hornets and their robot Dingo, a clawbot very similar to what we saw last time, and the Rio Bravo Greeley Gauchos with our very first stacker robot of the season, Billy. Underway, 1:45 each round. Washington looks to push 2 greens together, but we have our first stack. They're looking to go from Rio Bravo Greeley into the towers right away with an orange. They've done so they're going to be aiming for those orange. They have a lot of oranges on their side too, and that might work in their favor. That stacker traditionally can put 3 cubes together, but right now they haven't finished that mechanism. So they're going to go one at a time, but they feel comfortable about their capacity to stack. They've already got an orange cube in the corner, so right now the Gauchos and Billy up 2-0. They've got another one they're looking to leverage. They've got it in that goal, so it's a 4-0 lead right now for the Gauchos. But it looks like Washington was able to get it in, but we have a tip over here. Dingo is on its back. It is currently disabled. Can it push itself back up? A bit of a challenge early on as we're in our changeover period here for our 2 teams. Do we have a driver switch? With 46 seconds remaining, The Gauchos and Billy with a 4-point lead. The arm mechanisms seem to be a little bit askew there as they try to grab a third cube here in the orange. Still struggles for Washington as they cannot get upright on that tip over earlier on the round. 30 seconds left to go. Billy and Rio Bravo Greeley looking to push it in. Is it all the way through? Yes, it is. They've gotten one in the near corner for their 6th points of our round. Meanwhile, still struggles on the Washington side as they have been knocked backwards by their own momentum. 9 seconds remaining. A comfortable first round for the Gauchos. 3, 2, 1. That will do it for round number 1. A 6-point advantage for the Rio Bravo Greeley Gauchos and Billy. Let's talk with both of our teams, starting things off with Washington. Driver Edwin, early on, you got the cube in the tower. You were focused on the green, and then things kind of got knocked back a little bit. Tell us a little bit about that moment where Dingo got sent backwards.
Most of the time, we usually have that problem because our robot goes too fast, and when we try to go backwards real quick, the momentum is too fast.
So Troy's got some input as well on this.
But normally we weren't really used to this because most of the time it's usually just flying forward instead of backward, and with our arm doing that, it would be able to just pick up and continue going. What we did was we didn't pay attention to our arm. We should have, though.
Good feedback going into our second round to try to dig back out of this deficit. It's a 6-0 lead as we check in right now with Rio Bravo Greeley. Gauchos, your strategy paid off early dividends. You said early on you wanted to get your tower, and then the cubes just kind of fell in place. So tell us a little bit about early on getting that tower established.
So we did that early because we could tell by how the other team set up they weren't going for that color, so we went for the tower early. And then also the orange cubes were more easily accessible to us, so that's why we went for that color. But one of the wires for our lift got unplugged on the left side. As you can see, the wire from that motor came unplugged, so we couldn't stack. So that's why once we scored the 3 cubes and the one in the tower, we just stopped because we knew we couldn't do any more.
But a still comfortable advantage, 6-0 at the end of round 1. When we come back, round 2, we'll see what adjustments Washington and Rio Bravo Greeley make heading into the middle of our quarterfinal action here at the Robot Rumble. Welcome back to the AC Electric Arena, downtown Bakersfield. It's the Robot Rumble, quarterfinal action between Washington Middle School and Rio Bravo Greeley and the Gauchos. Round 1, Rio Bravo Greeley, the Gauchos, their robot Billy, effective in controlling the multipliers. We saw our first stacking action.
Exactly. Yes, and that was really, that's the first one we've seen so far.
All season.
Which is really neat.
So big deficit to pick up from for Washington. Eager to see how the teams responded in their adjustments, especially with the clawbot. Well, we noticed that those clawbots have a tendency to tip over and lose balance.
Yes, and they have installed a little sissy bar, if you will, on the back to try to keep them from tipping back on this round.
So they've been able to readjust for balance so that they don't get knocked backwards as much.
Yeah. Or that it will stop on the way back. So we'll see how that works.
So let's see how we fire up here in round number 2 with Rio Bravo Greeley Gauchos and Billy maintaining a 6-point lead over their compatriots at Washington Middle School and Dingo.
All right, Blue, you ready?
Yes.
Reg, you ready?
Yes.
All right, driver in 3, 2, 1, go.
So Washington has started off with a cube in its grasp as they try to delicately place things up. But Rio Bravo Greeley is able to grab their first one. We see a component fall off here on Rio, and we'll see what impact that has.
That's a bushing off of a axle.
Now, we both have a cube in each corner for our corresponding teams. No multipliers quite yet. Some damage. Well, they're knocking everything over to make sure they can get their oranges clear.
Get what they need to get.
Meanwhile, Washington is sticking with green. Let's see if we can get some additional cubes. They're looking for a stack here. They have to be very careful not to bring it out of the play area.
Right.
Rio's got there in their second in, and we have a stack here for Washington.
Right.
So both with 2 cubes in their goals with 1 minute remaining. Some more knockover action here. They may be desperate just to get any cubes, and we're gonna have our driver switch over here. Washington has switched. Gauchos have switched. 47 seconds left to go. They're looking for this near corner here to push that, nudge it in. They've got it, so they've got their third point of the round. No multipliers as of yet this round.
Yeah.
We had a drop here on an orange cube by Washington. They're gonna kneel back down and pick it up. With 30 seconds remaining, it's an extended lead here for Rio Bravo Greeley, the Gauchos, and Billy. Now this is the first time we've seen a robot go into the opposite side of the playfield to try to kind of mess around with this structure and push cubes away out of reach of their opponents with 13 seconds left to go.
Great tactic.
And they're not messing around with their opposing goal, with that blue goal, with 5 seconds remaining. 6-5. Let's see if you can get one more in. One final nudge. Can they get it into the goal for Washington? No! Wheel spin. And that will do it for round 2. No multipliers, no cubes in the towers quite yet.
Right.
But we noticed that Billy and the Rio Bravo Greeley Gauchos able to extend their lead. So they've won both rounds so far.
Yes.
That's very important for our tiebreaker should we get to that.
Yes.
Tom, what are some of the things you noticed here in our second round?
It seemed like the Washington Middle School team was really trying to make some changes and seemed to do well. They stacked, which we haven't seen before.
That's right.
The Gauchos, I think they've kind of went into the more of the just move them into those corners mode instead of going for the buckets. So we'll see how that works out for them.
Let's check in with our crew here at Washington. Hey, we have our first stack of the season, and we're able to get points on the board. So it seemed like there was a differing strategy this time. Your focus was to get cubes in the goal as opposed to in the towers.
Yes.
How do you think that played out for you in this second round here?
What I did instead of like just, doing something like I like calling pedal to the metal.
Pedal to the metal.
I just, I did it lightly and I just feathered it every once in a while, grabbed cubes, and then I tried stacking them as easily as I could, because usually with bouncy things like this, like a foam mat, the cubes are more likely to bounce up and out of the thing. So what you do is you just play, easy and calm.
Well, calm is great heading into the first 2 rounds, but we've got one more round to go. And we're trailing by a deficit of 9-2. So what are some of the things you as a team feel you need to be able to do in order to give yourself a chance at victory going into our third and final round?
Play more violently.
Ooh, I would go with aggressively, but violence makes wonderful television. So I thank you for your sentiments. Any thoughts on the multipliers as an approach?
Well, we were trying to put them in the cubes and try and make them make more points, but we end up just going with the corners instead.
So down by 7, it may need to be a blend of those strategies because there's only so much room in each of those. Josh has a sentiment as well to add.
I feel like we should try a little bit more to get the cubes in the towers.
Knowing which color you have too, it seems like green's the way to go. It's what you've gone with thus far. So going to be a combination of both of these mindsets going in, trailing from behind as we enter round 3. Checking in with our crew at Rio Bravo Greeley, the Gauchos, and their stacker bot Billy. Now, there was a little bit of gasp as we saw our first damage of the season. Tell us a little bit about our piece here that fell off very early on in the round.
I was taking a motor off earlier to tighten some standoffs that we were using to keep our lift from resting on the motors, and I forgot to put those screws in, so that came out.
Understandable. We've all been there.
Yeah.
If you're a homeowner, you've ever had to install a ceiling fan, you know this life very, very well.
Yeah.
You eschewed the towers this round, but were very effective in utilizing both goals. And I'll notice you also made a foray into the opposing half of the field. So tell us a little bit about that mindset.
Well, early on, we noticed that it wasn't really lifting. So Peter's job is to set it up for the second driver before they could just push a cube right into the other goal. And so then they kind of just like nudged me to go into the other team and kind of push their cubes away. So that's what I did, and it seemed to work.
Your coach, Mr. Brett McCune, came into this season, and it's his 4th that he's done robotics. He came with a challenge or a request or a plea. Please no clawbots. When you heard that, what was your reaction, and how do you feel like you responded as a team to that challenge?
Well, we already had a design that we made over the summer, so we already had that design in mind. So when he said that, we knew he was probably going to say it. But we didn't really need to do anything. We already had our design.
Well, this design right now has you with a 7-point advantage going into our final round. You've got control of the tiebreaker, so we're going to see if you can maintain that lead and hold off Washington on their final push as we get set for round 3. Hey, thanks a lot. Here we are. It's round 3 of our Robot Rumble quarterfinal between Rio Bravo Greeley and Washington Middle School. Rio Bravo Greeley with a 7-point lead going back into this final bout. Devin Rossiter, Tom Anderson, it's been a high-scoring affair, and we've seen the towers get utilized.
Right.
Washington Middle School, Coach Anthony with the rest of his squad, points matter here. They've got to get a lot of points in a short period of time. What do you think of some of the conversations that are happening with that squad?
I know that they're talking of hitting the towers as much as they can. So I think that's what they're going to have to do to make it, pull it off.
We'll be curious to see that balance of towers and goals.
Right.
Meanwhile, on the Rio side, they're getting very comfortable here. A 7-point lead is the largest we've seen this season.
Yes, it is.
It's very easy to get too comfortable with that. This might be one of those most dangerous leads in robotics.
It could. It's the rabbit and the hare, or the rabbit and the tortoise.
Yeah, the rabbit and the hare would actually be a very close contest, wouldn't it?
It would be, yes.
I want to see that. Put some money.
See who's going to win.
So let's go ahead and see any anticipation. What are some of the things you expect to see coming into our third round here?
Well, I'm hoping that Rio Bravo Greeley's got their little problem fixed with their motor that keeps unplugging. So I noticed that they have it tied in with a rubber band, so we'll see if that actually holds for them.
And for Washington, they seem to have managed their balance issues in that second round.
Balance issue, so hopefully that'll hold firm for them and we'll get going.
Ladies and gentlemen, the place is here. The time is now. It's round 3. Can Washington Middle School and their robot dingo overcome a 7-point deficit? They've got to get that lead. They have to beat Rio Bravo in this round because Rio Bravo holds a tiebreaker. So it can't be a tie. They've got to overcome.
All right, Blue, you ready?
Yes.
Reg, you guys ready?
Yes.
All right, driver in 3, 2, 1, go.
Now, generally in these competitions, there is an autonomous setting. Now, we noticed there that Washington started off with a cube in their grasp. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, their robots have to start the match with a robot touching, or with a cube touching their robot. So they have a choice to just have it sitting next to them or in their grasp.
Great insight as both teams get their first cube on early and often. We have a 2-cube push over here by Billy. Let's see. Well, it's only going to help them fit one in there, and having 2 might get them 1 in, but what do you do with that second? That's going to be the challenge.
It's not going to count.
We have an elevated grasp here on the claw.
Right.
They're going to try to go for that tower. Let's see which one is within their reach with just over a minute left to go. Green is just about in from Washington. Can they drop it down? They've got it. So we've got a multiplier under balance again. It is off and in its back as we need a driver change. Can they readjust and get back up? Devastating turn of events here for Washington.
That's terrible.
42 seconds left to go, and it looks like Rio Bravo Greeley, the Gauchos, and Billy have a comfortable advantage here. They've got 2 cubes in.
It does, but it seems like the robot's still not working too well. But it's working well enough.
They've got a second one in, so they've got 3 on the board, and it looks like they're going to try to see what they can do with that green, knowing they have the multiplier.
Knowing that it has a multiplier with it, so they can score extra.
15 seconds remaining here. Spinning its wheels is Dingo for Washington Middle School. They're trying to nudge it in. That's not going to count as a point because it's got to be completely in with 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and that will do it.
Yep.
With 3 additional cubes in the goals, that's going to give the Gauchos of Rio Bravo Greeley 12 points on the day, and Washington did get a multiplier in with 1 on the board, so that brings their total to 4. So for a 12-4 victory, congratulations to Billy and the Gauchos of Rio Bravo Greeley. They advance to our grand final in Washington.
Exactly.
Let's check in here with our Hornets from Washington Middle School. Hey, everybody. So we got the tower in. We got the cubes in. But the balance came into play again. Tell us a little bit about the downfall of Dingo.
We had forgotten to put our balancer up, and that was a mistake. But next time we'll remember to do that.
Same turn of
I feel like the reason it keeps falling or tipping backwards is because the claws keep moving too fast. So the faster it moves up, the easier it's gonna tip back.
So perhaps there's some other design that would involve maybe a telescoping claw instead of a raising and lowering. And you've got all season because you are a big part of the VEX Robotics competition season long. This is not the final competition for you as a squad. So how do you feel this experience will support you going forward into VEX?
It was like the same turn of events as the first time. We didn't pay attention, but we'll make sure that whenever throughout the rest of the season we will we'll pay more attention to our arm and our claw and what we're doing and our communication as a team, really, because we weren't communicating, we were messing up a lot. We were just like, I got it on my own, and everybody else was just like, okay. And we never communicated.
Well, communication is key. You got a full season, and we thank you so much for your commercials. And best of luck to you going forward from the Washington Middle School Hornets. And Dingo, best of luck to you. Let's check in with Rio Bravo Greeley, advancing to our grand final. And gentlemen, it's only the second competition, but you are in the literal driver's seat because you have scored the most points of any of our victors. That right now puts you at the #1 seed. Tell us a little bit about that final round, trying to kind of play off of the green cube in their tower and using that to your advantage.
Well, we didn't actually go for the green cube intentionally. It just happened to be there. But for some reason, one of our axles for our wheels came out. So that's why we were moving so slow along the wall here to try and push the cube into the goal. And the motor for the lift also got stuck again. So we're probably gonna have to fix that.
So with that aside, fixing the motor, readjusting the axle, you felt very comfortable in this space more than any other team we've seen so far. Using the wall to your advantage to kind of nudge things along, taking advantage of both goals, even exploring, disrupting some of the cubes on the other side of the field. How comfortable is this team in the tower takeover field right now?
Very comfortable. We're in the top 10 for league because of a loss in our first round because we could not stack because one of our motors came unplugged. But overall, we are doing really good.
Well, you put a great showing forward. Right now, you are the #1 seed. The other teams are going to have to catch up and surpass your 12 points to make sure they supplant you. However, you've got the control, and you've got all the way until March to work on that design and come back for our grand final of the Robot Rumble. There's going to be a lot of people looking at this episode to see what they're going to do to overcome Billy. So what do you think the rest of this season looks like going into March? A lot of time. How do you use it? Is it too much time even?
It probably is, but we also have other competitions in there, but it will also allow us to tune our driving and get better at driving.
Well, congratulations on your victory today. We look forward to seeing you back here for the grand final in March. Ladies and gentlemen, today's winners, the Rio Bravo Greeley, Gauchos, and Billy. Let's hear it for our winners.